Have you ever wondered why a student can study like crazy and still not get the grades they feel they deserve? Well, we're going to take a look at a totally different way of creating educational materials. This is about building real learning experiences, not just another textbook. Let's dive in.
I mean, we've all seen this, right? Maybe we've even been there ourselves. Someone puts in the hours, they genuinely try to get the material, but when the test results come in, it's just a huge letdown. It's super frustrating, it's really common, and it's the exact problem we're here to talk about.
This right here, this is what we call the knowing versus scoring gap. So on the one hand, you have a student who really gets the concept. They understand the why behind it, but they just can't seem to explain it in the way the exam wants. And then on the other side, you've got a student who's memorized the formula, they can plug in the numbers no problem, but they don't have that deeper understanding, you see? Both of them are missing something crucial. And that is the entire mission of the Collaborative Tutorial Resources Initiative, or CTRI for short. It's not about forcing a choice between understanding and performance, nope. It's all about building a solid bridge between the two so that every single student can actually succeed. So, how do we do it? What's the secret sauce? Well, the entire CTRI philosophy is built on 3 pillars that are all connected. You gotta think of them like the legs of a stool. If you take away even one, the whole thing just tips right over. First up is deep understanding. Now, this is about way more than just memorizing a bunch of facts. It's the difference between knowing the formula E equals mc squared and actually understanding what that means for how the universe works. It's that aha moment when it all just clicks. That's the kind of knowledge that really sticks with you. Next, we've got effective performance. Because look, having a deep understanding is great, but you also have to be able to show what you know in a way that gets you the marks. This pillar is all about giving students the tools to present their knowledge clearly and confidently, so all that hard work actually pays off. And the final pillar is clear awareness. This is where we pull back the curtain and take all the mystery out of the grading process. We show students exactly what the examiners are looking for. You know, when the rules of the game are out in the open, that fear of the unknown just vanishes, and students can focus on what really matters, which is learning. So yeah, as I mentioned, CTRI is a community-driven project creating these free, high-quality learning materials. And right now, our main focus is on helping secondary school students in Nigeria get ready for their WAEC exams. That's the West African Examinations Council. It's a huge step for them, and our whole goal is to provide the right tools for that very specific, very important challenge. Okay, so we've talked about the what and the why behind the CTRI philosophy. Now, let's roll up our sleeves and really get into the how. This is the practical blueprint that's going to guide you when you're creating these learning experiences. At the very heart of our design is this really powerful idea called constructive alignment. I know, it sounds a bit technical, but the idea itself is incredibly simple. Everything has to line up perfectly. You start by defining a really clear, actionable outcome. Then, you create content that teaches that outcome. After that, you design practice that tests it. And finally, you show students exactly how they're going to be graded. No surprises, no guesswork, just a clear, straight path to success. And this slide shows you just how critical that is. A bad outcome is something vague, like understand linear equations. I mean, what does that even mean? How do you measure it? But a good outcome is super specific. Solve linear equations in one variable and show all working. See the difference? It's an action. It's something you can actually see and grade. That's the clarity we're going for. This quote really gets to the core of what makes our approach so different. For way too long, how you get graded has been treated like some big secret. We believe transparency is everything. When you show students how they're going to be marked, you're not just giving them the answers to the test, you're teaching them how to think like an expert. Let's just put ourselves in a student's shoes for a second. With a normal textbook, you get a question and maybe, if you're lucky, an answer in the back. That's it. But with our approach, you get the whole marking guide. All of a sudden, you see the exact path. You know you'll get 1 mark for this step, 1 mark for the next, and 1 mark for presenting it clearly. The mystery's gone. You're in control. And being this transparent unlocks something amazing, the power of peer learning. When students have a clear marking guide, they can actually look at each other's work and assess it effectively. And when they do that, they start to think like examiners. They internalize the standards, they spot common mistakes, and they get so much better at evaluating their own work. It's an absolute game changer. So, with all that said, let's talk about you.
In this framework, what is your role as a contributor? Because it requires a very specific and I think very exciting shift in your mindset.
This slide pretty much says it all. You are not just a content writer whose job is to dump information on a page. No, you are a learning experience designer. Your job is to build a complete system for success. You're an architect of learning, creating a structure that helps students not just survive, but actually thrive.
So here's a simple checklist to keep in your back pocket. Just ask yourself these 4 questions. 1. Is the outcome a clear action? 2. Does the explanation help a student do that action? 3. Does the practice question test that action? And 4. Is it completely obvious how that action will be graded? If you can say yes to all 4, you're building a learning experience that really works.
Okay, let's bring this all home and connect it back to what really matters, the impact this has on the student. Because this is about more than just getting better grades. It's about building better, more confident learners. The old way of doing things leaves students feeling so much anxiety and uncertainty. They're just constantly guessing, hoping they studied the right chapter, hoping they answered the question the right way. It's an incredibly stressful and inefficient way to learn. But with the CTRI approach, we completely flip the script. We want to replace that anxiety with confidence and that confusion with clarity. We're empowering students to take charge of their own learning so they can walk into any exam room and think to themselves, yeah, I've got this. And it all comes back to our 3 pillars: deep understanding, effective performance, and clear awareness. They aren't 3 separate things we're aiming for. They are one single integrated system. And when they all work together in harmony, you get a learning experience that is so much more than the sum of its parts. So the final question is really for you. Are you ready to go beyond just writing notes? Are you ready to start designing a complete learning experience that will empower students to truly succeed?